This was supposed to be a private family disagreement. Instead, it has exploded into one of the most emotional, public and uncomfortable celebrity feuds in years. Behind the glossy photos, the designer outfits and the carefully curated social media posts, the Beckham family is facing a crisis that no amount of fame can smooth over. At the centre of it all is Brooklyn Beckham, the eldest son, caught between the family that raised him and the woman he married. And right now, the message coming from the Beckham side couldn't be clearer. They want their son back. They want peace. They want reconciliation. And they're terrified of losing him for good. But according to multiple accounts close to the situation, there's one major obstacle standing in the way: Nicola Peltz. This feud didn't start overnight. It didn't begin with one argument or one viral post. It's the result of years of tension, resentment and moments that were never fully resolved, all finally spilling into the open. Brooklyn shocked the public when he broke his silence and publicly accused his parents, David and Victoria Beckham, of trying to sabotage his marriage. He described a family dynamic he said felt controlling, performative, and more concerned with image than emotion. He painted a picture of a household where brand Beckham always came first, even when it came at the expense of his wife. Those claims sent shockwaves through the internet, but what followed behind the scenes may be even more telling. Sources close to the Beckhams say David and Victoria were devastated, not angry, not defensive, devastated. They didn't see his words as an attack, they saw them as a sign they were losing their son, and since then they've been trying, quietly, repeatedly, desperately. According to people familiar with the situation, the Beckhams have been reaching out through intermediaries, asking Brooklyn to talk, to meet, to clear the air. The message has reportedly been the same every time: come home, we can fix this. They're not demanding apologies, they're not issuing ultimatums. They're simply asking for a chance, but that chance hasn't come because Brooklyn isn't making these decisions alone. Multiple insiders say communication between Brooklyn and his parents has been effectively frozen. Direct contact has stopped. Conversations, if they happen at all, go through mediators, and the emotional distance seems to be growing, not shrinking. What makes this situation even more painful for the Beckhams is that they still publicly show love, even while being shut out privately. Victoria, in particular, has leaned into supporting her younger children online. She's shared proud messages about Cruz, celebrated his music, and posted supportive comments that many fans believe are intentional, a quiet signal that the door is still open. But Brooklyn is noticeably absent. No likes, no comments, no shared memories, no visible interaction. And fans have noticed. Behind the scenes, sources say David Beckham is especially struggling with the rift. Friends describe him as heartbroken, confused, and deeply afraid that time is no longer on his side. He reportedly believes that if this goes on much longer, the relationship could be damaged beyond repair. That fear is what's driving the Beckhams' urgency. They don't see this as a temporary disagreement. They see it as a fork in the road, one where Brooklyn either finds his way back or disappears from their lives completely. But here's where Nicola Peltz becomes impossible to ignore. The tension between Nicola and Victoria Beckham didn't start with Brooklyn's statement. It goes back years, all the way to the wedding. What should have been a unifying moment instead became the foundation of resentment. From the dress controversy to disagreements over planning, expectations and control, the wedding exposed deep fractures. And those fractures never healed. The most explosive moment, according to Brooklyn, came during the first dance. What was meant to be an intimate moment between husband and wife turned into something else entirely. A moment that Brooklyn says humiliated Nicola and left her in tears. Whether the intent was innocent or not, the emotional impact was real. And for Nicola, it seems that moment cemented a belief that she would never truly be respected within the Beckham family. Since then, insiders say Nicola has taken a firm stance. Distance is protection. Those close to her describe her as fiercely loyal to Brooklyn, deeply sensitive to perceived slights, and unwilling to put herself back into a situation where she feels unwelcome or undermined. From her perspective, the problem isn't just one incident, it's a pattern. And that's where the power struggle lies. The Beckhams want reconciliation. Nicola wants boundaries. Brooklyn is caught in the middle, and right now he's choosing his wife. Friends of the couple say Brooklyn feels calmer since stepping away from his family. He believes he's finally standing up for himself. He believes he's protecting his marriage, and he has no regrets about speaking out. But from the Beckham side, that same silence feels like abandonment. They insist they've never stopped loving him. They insist they would take him back immediately. They insist that family should come before everything, even pride. Yet with Nicola's influence growing stronger and Brooklyn becoming more resolute, the distance only widens. Publicly, everyone is staying composed. No shouting matches, no messy interviews, no explosive clapbacks. But privately, this is a family in crisis. A mother afraid she's lost her son, a father watching his family unravel, a son who believes leaving was the only way to survive, and a wife who refuses to let him go back. And as the weeks pass, one question hangs heavier than ever. Is this feud headed toward reconciliation or a permanent goodbye? What makes this situation even more complex is that despite everything, the Beckhams are still trying to control one thing above all else: escalation. They are not publicly attacking Nicola. They are not disputing Brooklyn's claims point by point. They are not turning this into a back and forth war of statements. Instead, they've chosen silence. And for a family that has spent decades mastering public image, that silence is intentional. Behind the scenes, sources say David and Victoria believe that responding publicly would only harden Brooklyn's stance and push him further away. In their minds, the only way back is patience, time, and keeping the door open no matter how painful it gets. But patience is exactly what Nicola Peltz doesn't trust. Those close to her say she views the Beckham approach as performative, warm on the surface, but unresolved underneath. She reportedly believes that reconciliation would simply reset the cycle, not fix it. From her perspective, nothing truly changes unless control changes. That belief has shaped every decision since Brooklyn spoke out. Nicola has remained largely silent publicly, but her actions speak loudly. She and Brooklyn have been presenting a united front, stepping out together, appearing calm, affectionate, and deliberately removed from the drama. The message is subtle but unmistakable. We're choosing each other. And that choice has consequences. Sources say Brooklyn no longer engages with family group chats. He doesn't participate in milestones the way he once did. Even indirect gestures, like family celebrations or shared memories, are missing him entirely. For Victoria, this absence is especially painful. Those close to her describe a woman torn between heartbreak and restraint. She's been careful not to fuel speculation, but her social media activity has taken on new meaning. Supporting crews publicly, highlighting family bonds, sharing moments of pride. Many see it as her way of reminding Brooklyn, without naming him, that he still belongs. But insiders say Nicola interprets those same gestures very differently. To her, they feel strategic, calculated, a continuation of the very dynamic she believes hurt Brooklyn in the first place. And that's why, according to people familiar with the situation, she has no interest in sitting down for a reconciliation that doesn't come with firm boundaries. The result is a stalemate. David and Victoria are waiting, Brooklyn is holding his ground, and Nicola is ensuring that distance remains. What's especially striking is how differently both families operate. The Peltz family is known for being intensely close, private and insulated. Loyalty is paramount. Outsiders rarely penetrate the inner circle. Conflict is handled internally, not through optics. The Beckham family, by contrast, has always lived with cameras nearby. Appearances matter, legacy matters. Public unity has been a cornerstone of their brand. For decades, those two cultures were bound to clash. And Brooklyn is the collision point. Some friends of the Beckhams quietly worry that Brooklyn is being isolated, not intentionally, but gradually. They fear that as time passes, returning becomes harder, apologies feel heavier, pride sets in, narratives solidify. Others closer to Brooklyn say this distance is exactly what he needs. Space to build a life that isn't overshadowed by his surname. That's the tragedy of this feud. Both sides believe they're protecting him. Even extended family members have reportedly tried to help bridge the gap, but progress has been minimal. Meetings are postponed. Messages go unanswered. Good intentions stall under emotional weight. And looming over all of it is one terrifying possibility, that a line has already been crossed. Because according to sources, Brooklyn doesn't see this as a temporary break. He sees it as a necessary separation, a boundary that finally gives him peace. That belief is what scares the Beckhams the most. They don't just fear losing access, they fear losing connection, memories, traditions, future milestones. They fear being parents who watch their son build a life from a distance they can't cross. And yet, despite that fear, they remain willing to forgive, willing to listen, willing to welcome him back without conditions. But without Nicola's approval, that door stays closed. And that's why this feud feels different from every celebrity family drama before it. There's no obvious villain, no clean resolution, just people locked in their own versions of truth. A mother who believes she never meant harm. A wife who believes harm was done anyway. A son who feels he had to choose. And parents praying he'll choose them again someday. As time goes on, the question isn't who's right or wrong. The real question is whether love alone is enough to undo years of hurt, or whether this is one family break that fame, fortune and apologies can't fix. Because right now the Beckhams are still waiting, still hoping, still ready to take Brooklyn back in a minute. And Nicola Peltz, she's not letting him go.